much like blackmail. It's basically insinuating that something bad is going to happen if you don't stop behaving a certain way. So a classic statement would be, you better not do that or else. Now, you don't know what else is, but neither does she. But the whole tactic and intention is that you're scaring her into backing down. But I would say that the most common coercion and threat tactic that I see is men threatening to harm themselves or kill themselves if she leaves him. So all of those things that I just listed off, which I know is a big list of things, are all non-physical forms of power and control tactics and are all technical forms of domestic abuse. And we're actually seeing a lot more domestic violence offenses where men are being arrested for using these non-physical tactics. So basically domestic violence is any time that you are threatened or afraid of your life. Doesn't matter if you've been physically assaulted or not. It's as simple as, he's shouting at her and breaking things. She calls the police. More than likely, he will be arrested for domestic violence, even though he never laid a finger on her. And I think it's very important for women to be educated and aware of this so that they can identify if they are in a controlling relationship or not. And, of course, there's plenty of services for help for that. And around here in northern Michigan, it would be the Women's Resource Center.
And that's a huge resource for the women around here.
Absolutely.
And now what if, because we have listeners in Chicago, St. Louis, New Zealand.
Good for you, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I don't know how or why.
That's awesome.
But
Australia.
Got some hobbits listening.
if they were going to look for help and local resources for them, is there a go-to site instead of just looking up Google that you're aware of?
On an international level?
Or not, just, any site that would be good, maybe that you turn to or that you send people to, secondchance.com or what is it?
Well, our website, simply gives a list of what services we provide. But I guess if there's any women out there or men who are experiencing domestic violence, that there are, just knowing that there are resources out there, there are hotlines out there. There's domestic violence hotlines, at least here in the U.S. I can't speak for any international numbers, but I'd like to think that most countries that are pretty up to date on this subject matter and provide resources for that. I think it's just allowing yourself to be brave enough to look it up and to no longer be, in denial of what's potentially happening.
I'm willing to bet that there's one person that has already turned it off. They're like, because they felt
attacked.
Yeah. Now, there's another guy probably still listening, or another person still listening who's like, I really don't like feeling like that, and I don't like that I do that. I don't like telling her that she can't have a job. I don't like telling her she can't have a Facebook because I really don't want to be that jealous.
Right.
I can reach out for help, right? That's what he's saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, I have a couple guys in group right now that are voluntarily attending, and I'm always encouraged by those guys because they have the even higher, I think, probability of success in terms of being able to avoid being in the court system. But they get inspired by other guys that have been in the group, and they hear positive things like, hey, you need to come check this out. This isn't just exclusive to being an offender. The reality is this. The reality is that a majority of men use power and control tactics because it's something that's reinforced through society and culture. We're conditioned and taught this, and then what happens is we grow up and we behave this way, and then we comes with the consequence. We get arrested. We realize, it's actually not okay to behave this way. But, for most of us, it's like 18 plus years of behaving this way. Well, how do you stop that when that's all that you know? I think the biggest thing is, again, just being able to call it out and to be aware of it. Kind of this toxic masculinity that's been a pretty trending word for the last couple of years. It certainly does exist. But again, we can't change it if we can't acknowledge it. So I always go back to that quote. For the men listening, though, not to turn them off, I think, again, it's the same for people in recovery. It's being able to just be accountable, to recognize, I do those things, and I don't like it. I think what we suffer with, just as humans, is this term cognitive dissonance, in that I have an idealized perception of who I am, and then I have who I really am. But I always see myself based on how I idealize myself, which doesn't always transfer to how I really am or how I really behave. So my ideal self says, I was raised and taught to respect women, and I, as a man, I respect women. But in reality, I physically assaulted one. So my idealized perception of self does not align with who I really am. And the only way that I'm going to change that is I have to acknowledge who I really am. And I have to do something about that. So I'm encouraging men to get motivated. I'm certainly not trying to say that all men are bad, you know. I think a lot of men are great. I think a lot of us are really good. And I think we have the potential to be great. So I look at it like that. Yeah. We all need to improve, but again, it's going to be very difficult to do that if we can't acknowledge what needs to be improved to begin with. For me, I had to make that honest moral inventory with myself. I had to acknowledge that, okay, I still struggle with being jealous. I'm finding that I'm still trying to control this new relationship. I'm really just being more discreet about it. I'm being a little more clever in my manipulation, but at the end of the day, my intention is to still try to tell my partner where she can and cannot go and who she can and cannot hang out with. And that sucks because ideally that's not who I want to be. But my struggle is that is still who I am. So how do I change that? I mean, because my partner doesn't have to change anything. My partner's fine. She deserves to be friends with whoever she wants to be with. She deserves to go wherever she wants to go. She's autonomous. She's her own person. I have to learn how to be okay with that. I think it's, for lack of a better term, fucked up that I have to learn how to be okay with that. It's weird that I have to learn to be okay with that. But I am aware that I have to be okay with that. So it tells me that the issue is not my partner and who she's hanging out with or where she's going. My issue is me. And whatever's going on inside of me that has an issue with that, only I can resolve that. But I have to confront it first. And I have to be open about it with her. Again, with the intention that, I'm looking for words of affirmation. I'm looking for clarity. I'm looking for understanding. I'm looking for comfort. And not with the subtle intention to try to control where she's going or who she's hanging out with. Because she has the right to be whoever she wants to be. Again, that's the irony with the male privilege, is that male privilege, which is a power and control tactic. I don't think I mentioned that one earlier. Maybe I did. Male privilege says that I can be friends with whoever I want, go wherever I want to go, and do whatever I want to do. You, on the other hand, you have to get permission from me. I get to dictate whether or not if you get to do that or not. And I know that that's wrong. So how do I change that? I have to just learn how to unlearn these negative beliefs that I have. I guess it comes down to that at the end of the day. I've been instilled through my family and through maybe American culture, a set of beliefs to have about myself as a man and for my partner as a woman. And I limit myself based off of those beliefs. And those beliefs are what are giving way to such selfish, controlling, and abusive behavior. So until I can change my beliefs, my behavior will never actually change. So I think the first thing that I had to change in my belief system was believing that, yes, my partner is her own person. And that she doesn't actually need me. And I think that's where a lot of our jealousy comes from. Especially, I think that's why we feel insecure. Maybe not so much the younger men today, but I still think that it is there. But especially in older generations of men where her going back to school or getting a job, they feel threatened by that because the notion is, well, now has the potential to be independent, which means that she doesn't actually need me. So what do guys want to do? They want to sabotage those opportunities and keep her at home, make her have some kids, because it keeps her in her place.
Yeah. That, I know guys that.
Sorry if I was rambling there. But
No.
That was good.
Yeah.
A lot of information, a lot of good stuff.
Thank you. And these are a lot of, again, my own personal aha moments, based off of what I've seen in myself, but also what I see in others. I think in men's group, the most amusing thing is that the group ranges from people 18 to, I think the oldest guy I had in group was 78 years old. Back in 2015, I had a guy who was 78, caught a domestic violence offense. But I get guys from all different age ranges, so you have different generations, guys of different races, different ethnicities, different belief backgrounds, different social classes. And it's like, regardless of who we are and where we come from, we all have one thing in common as men, and it's the behavior that got us in this group. So why is that? You can almost see it as an epidemic in a way. Why is that? Because that's the one thing that's all bringing us here together. So it's kind of like the Breakfast Club in a way. It's just like this dysfunctional gathering of guys who all have the potential to be functional. Again, it's a matter of, do you want to be? And in order to be that, you have to be able to confront yourself and be open and honest about how you've been behaving and again, how you impact everybody around you.
And I would like to sit here and say, oh, I've never done anything like that, but that would be a lie. And when I was growing up, I didn't have a father figure. Well, I mean, my stepfather was there, but it was never like father-son. And I'd turn to my friends, and I remember my friend would be like, oh, well, you know, she's not going to go there. She can't do this, and she can't talk to no dude.
Yep.
So I thought, well, that's what I have to do, too. So I would tell my girlfriend, well, you can't talk to him. You can't talk to, you know. And eventually I did learn that that's not the way to go. You know, she can be friends with whoever she wants. And if, you know, because at first I was thinking, oh, well, all men are scum. They all want to sleep with you, honey, you know. And then she would say, well, you're friends with so-and-so. You don't want to sleep with her. I'm like, well, I'm different. Yeah, right. I'm the only man that's different. No, but I mean, so, yeah. So eventually I did get it, you know. And there are some men that are scumbags, and I'm pretty good at judge of character. And I would say, hey, honey, that guy, you know, maybe not that guy, you know. But, hey, if you want to go with Keith or, you know, Eric, hey, you guys have fun at lunch. Yeah. But watch out for Steve because dude's a little snaky. I've heard some things that, you know, but I would leave it up to her. I would still say, hey, I wouldn't say, hey, you can't go to lunch with Steve. I'm just telling you, you know, be careful. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Those are some of the things that I learned the hard way along the way.
Well, I think again, another struggle that comes from a societal belief is that, for some reason, we as men, we believe that women just can't be trusted and women aren't capable of making their own sound, rational decisions. And I find that to be very amusing. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I don't want to think that I'm just assuming that all men are like this. But I know for me, it's, at the end of the day, even if I think a guy has shitty intentions, it shouldn't really matter because I trust my partner. Mm-hmm. And if I trust her, then what do I care what this guy's intention is? Right. And that's, again, I'm making it sound like, oh, that's really easy. You should just think that way. No, I had to like teach myself this. Yeah. I had to learn to trust my partner and to recognize that, again, she's independent, she's autonomous, she's capable of making rational, sound choices. So it's like, you know, at the end of the day, I can't control if a guy looks at her. I can't control if a guy goes up to her or maybe tries to buy her a drink or whatever type of scenario it is, or maybe tries to hit on her. You know, I just trust that, you know, she's going to respond appropriately. And that, I think, being able to do that tells me that, okay, I have matured some. I have been able to grow up, and I am more confident now. I'm confident in who I am, and I'm confident in who my partner is. The other guy, I'm not even responsible for him. You know, he's also his own person, so I got to respect that. You know, if he's going to make a move, he's going to make a move. Again, I can trust my partner to respond appropriately. And if she didn't, I still have the choice to respond appropriately. You know, I don't have to let jealousy dictate my actions. The moment I do that is when I give other people power over me. You know, and regardless if somebody hurts me or not, let's say intimately. I'm speaking to all the men out there. You know, if your partner hurts you in an intimate way, like let's say infidelity, you still have a choice in how you respond to that. And just because she hurt you doesn't necessarily justify you hurting her. So Men Exploring Nonviolent Solutions really covers that, you know, because people are going to disappoint us. People are going to hurt us. But we can still respond and react in a way that's nonviolent, non-aggressive, and that can keep you and other people safe. But again, we live in a society where it's eye for an eye. You know, it's vindictiveness. You know, if somebody strikes you, you strike them back and strike them even harder because the notion is they won't strike you again. You know, we always have to one up each other, and we do that through in a very aggressive way, especially men. And if you pour alcohol in the mix, it gets even more aggressive. You know.
But when you're in the battle, when you're in that heat of the moment, though, that's called reacting.
Yes.
And no, you want to act. Yeah. And it's easier said than done. I mean, this is all learned. This is all stuff you have to learn, and you have to take a minute to process it. And some people like to drive around. Some people like to meditate. But you have to take a minute. This girl that I know, she's like, oh, this